But all right, guys. I guess on that note, we'll go ahead and we'll wrap up the show with our topic of the week. So this is kind of an interesting little topic, and Adnan actually came up with the idea. So we've recently gotten so much news from Final Fantasy 15. In fact, part of our topic is another news entry that we saved for last. That is on Final Fantasy 15. More details. But in thinking of holy shit, like we're getting all this news, and now it's everything's going to go dark for a bit until the game comes out. Maybe at E3 there'll be some stuff. Adnan kind of came up with the idea of why don't we go back and we kind of talk about like not like a full unabridged history of Final Fantasy 15, but kind of like a brief history of and our feelings on it, on what the hell happened with Final Fantasy 15, because this game has been in development for 10 fucking years. It's nuts. Like it was, originally it was Final Fantasy Versus 13 and it was like a spin-off, and now it's been reworked slowly in the last 10 years into being Final Fantasy 15, and it's a main entry in the series. So what do you say, Adnan? Do you want to start off? You want me to start off with the news piece, and we'll take it from there?
Yeah, go on. We'll talk about the news first on the actual. It's
Yeah.
a very interesting piece of news.
Yeah, so, okay, guys, so on the news piece, so with Final Fantasy 15, some new details have surfaced. Apparently, the game is going to feature dialogue choices, and it's been confirmed that there's going to be at least 200 side quests in the game. So, it says here that the latest issue of Game Informer had some news in the magazine, and they said that the game will pack in a substantial amount of content, offering some 200 side quests for those who fancy venturing off the beaten path. And as if the 200, this is from the article, as if the 200 figure wasn't enough to appeal to open world aficionados, Square Enix has said that it aims to increase the number before the game ships. And apparently, the way it's going to work is the story modes are going to come in 4 different forms. There's going to be main story quests, there's going to be minigame quests, monster hunting quests, and finally regional quests. And then finally, the last thing is that Final Fantasy 15 will feature a type of dialogue choice series. This is the first time they've ever done this in a Final Fantasy game. So this will allow Noctis to respond to situations in various ways, which can lead to staff buffs and also have scenarios play out differently depending on what choice you make when prompted. And then finally, the skill system was touched on a bit, and it says here players are awarded ability points once Noctis and his team level up, which can then be spent on skills. And these can include anything from sprucing up your auto dodge command to unlocking new commands for your teammates, and will apparently let gamers forge their own playstyles while they play the game. So that's pretty much all the news that they gave in the article.
Yeah,
Sounds great, by the way.
yeah, definitely. This is like one of the interesting things about Final Fantasy is going. Like it is going to be massive. Like the game
Yeah.
sounds like it's going to be massive. I saw the episode Duska stuff. Like that was only a small sample of it. It does seem like it's going to be huge. The dialogue choice system kind of. I'm not sure how it makes me feel about it.
Hmm.
Because when people do stuff like that, I'm not sure where you're really going to go with it, because you can do like Fallout style where it has real meaning behind it.
Right.
You have that kind of like speech factor where you can improve your speech and like make it even easier to bypass certain things. But then there's like it's more tedious in certain places. Like I remember the backlash against Uncharted 4 when it had it, and there's just
Yeah.
some games where it has it, and it's just like
I think with
sorry, yeah, like so it's when some games have it, it's like, was there really a need for it?
yeah, I think people tend to get weird about it when it's like, ironically enough, when it's like a game that has almost like a cinema quality story to it, and that's what Final Fantasy and Uncharted have both had. But then when you have games like Mass Effect or Fallout, which kind of feels like you create your own character and it's like it's very personalized, it makes more sense to have dialogue choices. But in something like this, where Noctis has a clearly defined style and look, and same thing with Nathan Drake. Yeah, I notice people are kind of like, I don't want to pick what Nathan Drake says. I just want to hear it, and like stuff like that. So yeah, I'm with you on that too. I'm kind of like half and half with it. I'd like to see how that kind of evolves as we get more info on it.
Yeah, like like Final Fantasy itself, like a huge topic to talk about because, like you said, there's 13 verses before that,
Yeah.
and like they had a huge like expansion because it was maybe like part of that fabulous Nova Crystallis series, and like kind of like Tabata was doing the other spin-off, which eventually became Typo HD, and then obviously they just kept finishing off the 13 series. And I think like what they must have realized, I think what the idea was, like they just realized that 13 wasn't popular because like I like
Yeah.
13, but when you look at the entire series as a whole, it's not. It really strays away from the Japanese RPG experience. What people want, people want it. Like even when I kind of criticize like Noctis having really shitty dialogue and kind of like cheesy, it is in JRPG spirit because the dialogue's not meant to be like like brilliantly crafted to be like Hollywood masterpiece. It is very cheesy because it's like it's fantasy. It's one of those stories where it's just telling it. It's like it's meant to blow your imagination. So like kind of seeing it now and like seeing where they're taking it, like there's huge like success place in this game. It will sell more than 2 million copies if minimum
Yeah.
within the first couple of months, and it will have to do a lot to sell it because I think I can see Square Enix doing a lot of PR behind this game as well. Just in a couple of months leading up to its release, it's gonna be something to take away from it. Where the story's gonna go. It's got a huge. For what I've seen as well, what I've read about the story and everything else, I like it. I think it's got a good idea. It's got a good theme to it. Very Final Fantasy as well. Like it's just in itself. Like that's what I want to see.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's I while you were talking, I was listening and I was also kind of looking at the history, and yeah, it's curious, man. It's a very interesting game because like I said earlier, like this was announced back in 2006, and to be quite honest, dude, when it was like you said, when it was part of the Fabula Nova Crystallis thing, I had no interest in it. Cause
Yeah, same.
yeah, because at that point I was actually getting pissed at Square because I'm like, why the fuck are you trying to make every Final Fantasy that you release a series? Like that's so cheap. Like just like be how you were back in the day, dude. When like you
There were
would make
number entries for a reason.
yeah, like and it was remember each entry was those heroes' final fantasy.
Yeah.
Like their final story. So like just keep doing that. So I had no interest and apparently yeah, around it says here around the time that the 8th generation of consoles was shown to Square Enix, internally they already changed the name of the game from Versus 13 to 15. They just didn't say it to anybody quite yet. So at that point, they were like, "All right, we're gonna fuck it. This is Final Fantasy 15," and I think that's a smart idea. Very smart idea. If they were to release this as Final Fantasy Versus 13 at this point, suicide, complete suicide. Like such a dumb
Yeah.
idea. It would have been stupid. Everyone would have been like, "Why the fuck are you doing that?" Like that, dude. Come on. Like we're done with 13. You've made 3 games already. We don't need this anymore. And in fact, Final Fantasy Type 0, they even changed that. That was, what is it, Agito 13 it was called? And then they changed it to Type 0 or whatever. Again, good idea, because people at that point, like you said, were kind of like, fuck 13, fucking hallway walking simulator. Like that's what people called it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm in your part, dude. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun game. But I could see why people were upset about it.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy that they're reworking it because Versus 13, I did admit it did have a different feel to it. It looked different, and I think that's what caught people's eye from the beginning. So it just made sense to make it Final Fantasy 15, to be honest. And yeah, no, I think it's been a very curious roller coaster.
It's been one hell of a fucking road.
Yeah.
Like that's just one bit. Even like roller coasters, understand. It's been a road that's had like millions of different turns and everything else because the game was like it's emerged, but it's emerged in a period where JRPGs are kind of like I want to say they're not. It's not a niche audience. It's a very passionate audience.
Yeah.
And kind of like a very loyal audience because they are the people you're going to target because you can't target really new people because people haven't. The JRPG flux has kind of like slowed down a little bit because I mean Japan has very heavily drifted away from gaming to mobile. Like it's all mobile gaming more than anything else,
right?
Instead of the console-based stuff. So like it has kind of like emerged to kind of be like it's almost fan service and kind of like a lot of love and passion put towards just a game that can cater to what the fans have really expected. And I mean like Typo HD was received really well. Hajime Tabata is very like he's very passionate about the project and like 15 and everything else. So and what I've played as well. Like I really enjoyed. I mean, Platinum Demo's only kind of like an idea of what the game's going to be like, but I enjoyed what I played of it. I just felt like some of it was a bit annoying. Like the camera was really shifty, and the mechanics were just a little bit kind of like they could be tweaked up just a little bit. But I enjoyed it nonetheless. Cause I was like, you know what, I could probably put 80 hours into this game. I'm not that kind of person anymore because I used to put 80 hours into a game, but like I feel like I could put it into this game. I could invest time into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, saying like 200, like side quests or quests in general or whatever. Like this, I think this is gonna be like the Fallout game I wanted, if that makes any sense. Because I know this is gonna be blasphemous for some, but I did I received Fallout 4 as a gift for my birthday, and I think I mentioned on the show, it just wasn't my cup of tea. I completely see the appeal, and I think anybody who likes it, like, dude, I could see why. But for me personally, my gaming style, like what I like in video games, I just didn't connect to it,
Yeah.
And 15 kind of looks like, like you're in a big open world, you're in the car, you have your buddies with you. It just, I don't know, there's something about it, and the fact that they're putting so much content in it. It seems like it's going to be like the Fallout game I wanted, if that makes any sense. Nothing like Fallout.
Yeah.
At all. I'm just saying.
But the open world game you want that has RPG elements and everything else about it.
Right, exactly.
Do you remember how much backlash there was about that fucking car as well?
Oh, I know, the flying car. I'm like, come on, man, that looked cool as shit.
Not the flying car, just the car in general. Do you remember it?
No, people hated the car?
Yeah, when they showed it off, like the car for the first time, people were like, this is a Final Fantasy, why the fuck is he driving car? Like, the internet hated it up, and then now they're like, oh yeah, it's a flying car, like, I can't wait for this. It's like, you double standard people. I thought, when I saw it, I was like, hey, it's a car. I was like, pretty cool. Like, I was like, that's really cool, I can't wait till you try that out.
What dicks.
Yeah, it was really funny, like, if you go back and look at it, there's so many people hating on that car. I'm like, what? It's a car, man. It's like, he needs to travel from point A to point B. I'm sorry, but like they do exist in the world, and even as a fantasy game, it could still exist.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. That's people. Whatever. The internet. It's what can I say? I had no problem with it. I thought it was great. I liked. I thought it's. I really feel like this is evolving Final Fantasy. Like if 13 was something that everyone thought was a step backwards, I really think 15 is a step forward, Like, I think this is like a new era of Square Enix where they're kind of like, we really just don't want to piss people off. Because think about it, 13 came out and then 14 came out and everyone hated it, and then they had to fucking redevelop it and make it, a Realm Reborn, and then everyone liked it. I think Square is this is going to be a good game. I don't think it's going to be a bad one by any means of the imagination, but, we won't know until this September when it comes out, so... but yeah, I'm super hyped for it, and it really is an interesting development. This is going to be like a story, it's almost like it feels like one of those Duke Nukem Forever type scenarios. I just hope it's not that kind of outcome, but it does feel like that kind of story, so
definitely.
Yeah, but all right, well, I think on that note we're going to wrap up the show. I think that concludes. I think that this concludes this week's episode of the Gamer Headline Show. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at TGH Show and like our Facebook page, The Gamer Headline Show, for up-to-date episodes from Gamer Headlines' official podcast. Additionally, The Gamer Headline Show can be found on Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, and of course right here, as always, at GamerHeadlines.com. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next week.
See you later.